Hey guys, Philippe here. Welcome to the July 10th DVD update, where I talk about all the DVDs and Blu-rays I've gotten over the last 2 weeks or so. Like I always say, guys, if you guys enjoy these updates, definitely give this video a thumbs up. Leave me comments below on what you guys saw of the titles I checked out. Also, if you guys didn't see it, I just literally posted, like, right before this video, a video going around touring Comic-Con. I got interviews with Lloyd Kaufman, fellow reviewer Chris Stuckman, so definitely check that video out below this video. Love to hear what you guys thought, but, I always put these up on Saturday, so I want to put this up as well. The first one I got from Lionsgate, and this is one of my favorite movies I've seen in a long time. Really, really like this movie. This is Ex Machina. I believe that's the right way to say it. A lot of people say Ex Machinima. There's all these different ways people are saying it, so you never really know if you're saying it right or not. But the movie's basically about, though, this guy who ends up, calling this guy, who works for his company. It's like a company calls him in and says, you've got this, like, intern thing with him, has him come to his house out in the middle of nowhere. Like, where he lives is kind of like where the first Jurassic Park was set. Almost like going out into, like, this weird islandy place in the middle of nothing. You have to hike in all to get to it. But he gets there, and the guy is very strange, and he's like, well, I just want to hang out with you and talk to you about what I've been working on. Basically, he tells him about how he's been creating this, robot, like humanoid robot that he's basically talking to, and he wants the guy who came here, the programmer, to come here and kind of talk to the robot and interview him and interview her and see what happens and see if he can be fooled into believing that she actually is real and has real intelligence and a real sense of basically being able to do what she wants and her own opinions and things like that. That's what it is, but then it's kind of like him starting to really kind of start to like this robot, and then like all these things going on, and she's talking to him and saying there's all this weird stuff going on, and him kind of discovering there's very odd things, and the guy is always around drinking, and it's just a really, really great movie, really cool ending to the movie too. Really would highly recommend this movie. Kind of has the vibe of The Signal a little bit, but really like this. It has on here, though, Through the Looking Glass, a 5-part featurette on the making of the movie, and 5 behind-the-scenes vignettes as well in the movie, but highly, highly would recommend this movie. And the next one I got from Shout Factory Screen Factory line is I, Madman. This is one I had never heard of before. Really like this movie a lot. It has Jenny Wright in this movie, who's from Near Dark, and also from Word According to Garp, Lawnmower Man. And it's basically about this girl who's kind of obsessed with, like, reading these, like, kind of pulp fiction kind of novels about horror and things like that. And she's kind of recently, she works at this library, bookstore kind of place, discovered this book, is reading it, and she's basically having, like, vivid imaginations about this killer in the book and what's happening and things like that. But as she starts reading the book, things start to kind of happen around her. She starts kind of thinking something weird, and the character from the book might be coming after her, and she actually gets a book dropped off in front of her house, starts reading that book, and that book is really what kind of brings all these kind of problems around her. People around her start dying off, and then she's kind of knowing things that, it's kind of like the movie, to me, that almost like inspired Candyman. To me, it feels like it. It's like, has that sort of, this is way before Candyman, but kind of has sort of that vibe to it to me as well. But very creepy, weird movie, with this killer going around and just basically her being taunted by this guy and kind of trying to figure out how they're going to stop him and if he's real, or, the boyfriend and this, the cop friend of hers is thinking that she's nuts, and the whole thing. I don't know, it's got a whole bunch of different people in this movie. One character actor in this who was from Just One of the Guys. But really, really like this movie. It has on here a commentary of the director, the making of as well. But I would definitely recommend checking out this movie. Really cool, lesser-known movie. The next one is the sequel to The Howling, The Howling 2, It's Not Over Yet, or The Howling 2, which I had never seen this one before. Somehow I had never watched this. I always liked the first Howling movie. I don't think I've seen any of the sequels. For some reason, I don't think I have. I might have randomly seen one here and there. I always remember seeing, like, the pictures for this one. The thing that was cool, too, about this, that I had no idea about going into this, is the actor who plays Mickey from Pee-wee's Big Adventure, the one that Pee-wee picks up, the hitchhiker, the hitchhiker that picks up Pee-wee, like, he's actually in this movie. He's like one of the stars of this movie. I think it was filmed like the exact same year, or within months of Pee-wee's Big Adventure, so this might have been first, or that would have been, right after, so he has the exact same look. So to me, I love that, because it was this exact same look, like he just stepped out of one of the movies. But the movie's basically, though, it follows up after after the first movie. Dewall Stone is not in this one, but her character is technically in the movie in a coffin. She's died, and basically about her. It's her sister, and basically wants to track down and figure out where she was from and what happened. And Christopher Lee's character is kind of a guy who's hunting down these werewolves, and it's kind of about them going to the town and kind of discovering this whole kingdom of all these werewolves. And there's very weird things happening. I think it's in like Romania that they go. I can't remember exactly where it was. But they go somewhere in Europe, and they get there, and that's where the Mickey character, from Pee-wee's Big Adventure and Sybil Danning are there. There's all these weird, like, werewolf sex scenes with them with, like, weird, like, glue-on, like, weird, like, the effects in this one are not up to par with, like, the first one. They're kind of silly in some parts, but it's just a really fun movie. And they have this song they use a million times, like, the din in the near dark time we come again together. But they play it, like, a million times in the movie. It's kind of like the theme song of this movie, this sort of punk song you hear again and again in the movie. But it has here a commentary with the director, interviews with the one actor, interviews with Sybil Danning, and some interviews with the special effects artist. This is a really cool, fun sequel. It's not like anything to take serious. It's way more of a comedic kind of sequel, not like a serious tone one. The next one are double packs from Scream Factory as well, and this one is The Outing and Godsend. The Outing is basically, though, about this kind of lamp thing. They end up, basically, they find this lamp. It's basically like a lamp thing that, like a genie lamp that ends up getting out. And basically, if anyone's around the thing, it kind of like does all these bad spells to them and stuff like that. But the lamp, basically kills these criminals that try and these criminals go to this old woman's house, break into her house, and they dig in the wall and find the lamp, and then they end up dying from the lamp. And then the lamp ends up getting put into a museum, and then these kids find out about this museum, sneak in, and then bad things start happening to them from the lamp. It's just a fun movie. The Godsend is kind of like a movie about a bad killer kid movie. About, in the beginning of the movie, this woman ends up coming to this family's house. She's pregnant, and then she has the baby, and then vanishes, and the baby's there, and they end up raising the kid. But basically, their own children start dying off, like one by one. They're kind of wondering what is going on, and it's this kid that's doing it, and it's basically like kind of like an Omen kind of movie. I thought it was actually a pretty cool movie. Like I said, I had not seen either of these ones before, but on all of these ones too, very good picture, especially too on Madman and the Howling. And the double pack as well is Cellar Dweller and Catacombs, two other ones that I had never seen. Cellar Dweller is like this woman that goes to a kind of artist kind of community, and she's all into drawings and things like that, and she's basically this kind of creature that this animator was doing, basically ends up killing him, and she ends up going to this place, and then the creature ends up becoming unleashed, and then they're all after the people in this kind of artistic community getting killed off by the creature. Fun Charles Band movie. Every time I watch them too, I always kind of try and look at like what other things they shot in the locations, because with his movies, he always uses like the same locations a lot and the same sets, like this troll set he used in Crawl Space, and I think might have been another one as well. Catacombs, though, was a creature. It was like in the 1500s that ends up getting basically locked away into this dungeon, and years later this woman comes to this monastery place, and the creature ends up getting out and then going after them one by one in the monastery and killing them off. I said to another fun one that I had never seen before. The next one from Anchor Bay this is another one that I would highly recommend. A lot of people have told me about this one. Really love this movie, and this is It Follows. And a really great score on this movie. The music is amazing. Actually has a interview in here with the composer of this one. But the movie is basically about this girl who ends up sleeping with this guy, and right after she sleeps with him, she ends up getting knocked out, and wakes up and she's tied to this chair, and she comes to find out that the guy she sleeps with and she thought was like nothing the matter with him, ends up having this kind of curse with him, where this person is kind of coming after them, and these people are kind of following, because it says it follows, like, basically it's like a curse, and once the person sleeps with them, this creatures or these people start coming after them, so he basically passed the curse on to her, and then he ends up telling her that you have to sleep with somebody else, so then the curse goes to them, and then they have to sleep with somebody else, and then the curse goes to them, but if they don't, then the curse will come back to you. So it's a whole gigantic mess of this thing coming after them if they don't sleep with one person and sleep with somebody else, and that's essentially what it is. But just a really, really well done, creepy movie. And there's one aspect that I found really creepy, one sequence with, I don't want to ruin what it is, but there was actually one thing that really got me, a really, really good scare in this movie. But, you know, this is one of those movies, too, when you go, oh, don't believe the hype, or, you know, I actually really like this movie. Would definitely recommend you guys check this one out. The next one from Warner Brothers, and this is kind of funny. It's almost like a follow-up to Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park, because it's pretty much the same kind of idea. Would be cool if they had on here as a feature that actual movie, because that movie's never really come to DVD, and it's just a fun movie shot at, you know, theme park, and I always love those kind of theme park movies. This is a new animated Scooby-Doo movie. It's Scooby-Doo and Kiss Rock and Roll Mystery and Original Movie. It's essentially, though, the Kiss characters have a theme park, and there's a monster there that's like kind of haunting the park and, you know, cause all kinds of mischief and issues and things like that. And Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes actually play characters at the beginning of the movie, you know, voice characters, a little cameo in the movie. There's a couple other cameos as well. But, you know, the whole gang comes, you know, the mystery solvers all come to solve the mystery of who is and what is haunting the Kiss theme park. You know, they're all Kiss fans. They come dressed up like Kiss. Just a fun, you know, throwback movie to, you know, back when, you know, Scooby-Doo used to do this, like Scooby-Doo meets the Three Stooges, Scooby-Doo meets the Harlem Globetrotters. Also has on here, you know, classic Scooby-Doo episodes as well, and a little quick kind of gag reel thing with the cast of Kiss, you know, promoting the movie. And the next one, I had never heard of this before. This kind of has like a Tim and Eric kind of vibe, and it's Your Pretty Face is Going to Hell. This is from Warner Brothers. This is a Comedy Central show. You know, it's just uncut as well. Like I said, I had never seen this one, never heard of this one. It's essentially, though, about basically kind of like Office Space, but, you know, set in hell. And it's a, you know, a guy who works in the office and an intern that comes, and kind of they have like, the intern has like these missions he has to do with the guy, help him with things like, you know, Satan basically wants to, this girl that he's sleeping with in the real world, you know, at this house she's trying to sell, he wants them to kind of haunt the house to keep them from selling them. There's all these really weird things that happen, like the stuff that the people have to do, like they have to put their face in the urinals for the devil. It's just such a strange, weird movie. Most of it shot green screen. Just a fun, really weird, quirky movie. I mean, quirky series. Like I said, kind of has that Tim and Eric-y vibe to it, but it has all the episodes and has a bunch of deleted scenes, and then, you know, commentaries and behind the scenes as well. The next one, this is a exclusive UK one. This is from Zavvi exclusive, you know, limited 2000. This is a steelbook of The Voices, you know, the Ryan Reynolds, Anna Kendrick movie. It was a really, really cool movie. This is a very, very cool Arrow steelbook. Now, I'll show you guys a little bit of what's inside of this, but it has on here interviews, deleted scenes, pet voice recordings, and exclusive to Blu-ray behind the scenes animatronics. But here's a little look at it, and this is basically of the fridge, you know, that you see in the movie where it plays a huge part in the movie. Very cool steelbook. Now here's a little look inside of it as well, and you see both of the heads, the characters, Anna Kendrick and the other main character, and behind the disc as well, I'll show you what you see back there as well. You know, you see more of the fridge, but really, really cool steelbook. Like I said, this is a limited edition, the 2,000 copies. And I'll put a link below for you guys if you are interested in picking this up for an Arrow. But Arrow does really, really great releases. And definitely hope they do some more U.S. steelbooks as well, because this is a UK exclusive one. But I'm sure they will down the line. But, you know, love their stuff. Like I said, really cool steelbook. The next one from Fox is the second best exotic Marigate Hotel. This is the sequel to the best Marigate Hotel. It's just a really cool movie. You know, it's like a really positive movie. Well, this movie basically picks up after the first movie, and, you know, the hotel that the character who, you know, the guy Dev Patel, you know, who is in Slumdog Millionaire, and Chappie, you know, he's, you know, has the first hotel, and, it's getting overbooked, it's getting busy, he doesn't know what he's going to do because everybody wants to be there. It's basically for older adults like senior citizens, things like that all kind of come there and retire, and he doesn't know what he's going to do, so it's basically him trying to open up a second hotel at the same time as trying to plan his marriage, and that's basically what it is. It's kind of what happens and kind of the people there. It's just a really good, feel-good, positive movie. It has on here, though, a bunch of different interviews on here with the cast returning to the hotel. Just really would definitely recommend checking this out, especially if you like the first. And the next one from Sony is Paul Blart Mall Cop 2. Some people really despise these movies or don't like these movies. I really found these to be fun movies. I really love the first movie. The second one is a fun movie. Kind of a bit more of a kid vibe to it, but I always like these movies, and sometimes they're just fun movies to sort of chill out and just watch. This one, though, is basically Paul Blart's character, who, is a mall security guard, who ends up going to a convention for security guards in Vegas, where he thinks he's going to end up getting this big award, but, he gets there, ends up discovering that there's this planned heist thing. They're trying to rob the casino, and his daughter ends up getting taken hostage, and it's kind of him in Vegas trying to figure out how to stop them, find his daughter, and trying to kind of figure out how to stop this whole thing from happening, and kind of all the mischief and all the kind of issues and problems that he gets into while he's in Vegas. It's just a fun, silly movie. It has on here gag reels, deleted scenes, a whole bunch of different stuff on here, making ofs as well. But I love these movies. Like I said, they're just really fun movies. Would definitely recommend checking these out if you just want to see a fun, silly movie. The next one, and this is one that I've been looking forward to for a long time. I've been following Giuseppe Andrews' movies for years. I actually ordered from his site years back, and throughout the years, lots of movies like on VHS and all kinds of different stuff from him. This is called Giuseppe Makes a Movie. This is my friend Adam Rifkin directed this movie. This is from Cinelicious Picks. This is the Blu-ray release of the movie, and it's basically, though, a documentary going and following around Giuseppe Andrews, who's a filmmaker who makes films with people when he was living in a trailer park with, homeless people who are in the trailer park, kind of random people he finds off the street, and it's kind of him making his biggest movie, or his big movie, and Adam Rifkin goes around and films him getting the props, films him trying to get everyone together, figure out how he's going to get it all filmed with very, very little money, and trying to do it all in the amount of time they're trying to do it. To me, was amazingly well done documentary that really, if you like movies like American Movie and things like that, you definitely have to check this out, especially if you're also into filmmaking and things like that. I would definitely recommend this one. Just a great documentary on the making of the movie, and it's a really feel-good kind of movie too. Just to see him being able to make this thing, it's just to me, I love this. It has on here, though, the actual full movie that he made is on here, and has a commentary with Adam Rifkin, the producer, and then extra scenes from the documentary, and a TV pilot by Giuseppe Andrews. But I would definitely recommend checking this out. Just a very, very fun movie, and very well done. And very cool artwork in here as well, in here in a booklet about the movie. And it's also available on VHS. The next one from Paramount, and I've heard a lot of people say how great this one is, and it's from the creator of Flight of the Conchords, and it's What We Do in the Shadows, and it's actually a very, very fun movie. And it's basically a documentary crew. It's a spoof documentary. Goes and follows around a group of these vampires who are flatmates and live together in the same apartment. And they're all kind of planning this big vampire meetup with vampires and werewolves and everything. And it's essentially just sort of following them around, what they do, how they go out and find people, and talking about how old they are. And it's just a really ridiculous thing about them going out and getting victims and killing the people, and trying to go to parties, and how they can never get into clubs unless they're invited in since they're vampires, and just some really, really silly stuff in this movie. Very, very fun. It has on here over 2 hours of features, commentary with, the cast, and, behind the scenes, deleted scenes, extras, promos, bunch of different stuff in here, but just a really, really fun spoof movie with some really funny stuff. Highly recommend this. The next one from Paramount as well. This is only on DVD, and it's one I was really interested in seeing with Kristen Stewart and Chloe Grace Moritz, and this is Clouds of Sils Maria. It's about a woman who's an actress who was going to this thing to honor one of her friends, and basically on the way there, he ends up dying. And they were basically, and she finds out that he wanted to put on this play, which was a sequel to one of the first things she ever did as an actress, and she always had such high regards for it and remembered it. It was basically what launched her whole career. And she found out about this, and this other director wants to take over and make this play. It's essentially just about her kind of rehearsing for this play, hearing about how Chloe Grace's character is going to be playing the younger her in the play, and hearing bad things about her and how she's wild and all this stuff. And that's essentially just her with Kristen Stewart kind of practicing the play, kind of having second thoughts, thinking she can't do it. And that's pretty much what it is. A very like kind of low-key movie, character piece. That's pretty much just a character study on that. Nothing absolutely amazing. Very good performance over Kristen Stewart. She actually got what's the equivalent of like the French Academy Award for her acting in this. It was, to me, I think, a really great performance. The next one from Cult Epics is their Toad's King, or the Death King, which is the director of Necromantic's new, not new movie, but new release movie from Cult Epics. This is another limited edition release. This is one I had never heard of, but you don't hear about this one as much as you hear about Necromantic, 1 and 2. But I actually like this a lot. It's essentially, though, just basically vignettes of Monday through Friday about people who have committed suicides and kind of what leads up to it. It's kind of like, in my opinion, what I feel like must have inspired ABCs of Death, because it has that kind of vibe to it. The early days kind of thing, that kind of thing before ABCs of Death, because this was in 1992 or 1990, I believe. But essentially, though, it's just these people going and killing themselves. One guy in the tub, one guy that kills people at this concert. It's all these different deaths, and then it cuts to this like body that's sort of decomposing, and this crazy decomposing footage that some people believe was real, and wasn't. I think they put pieces of meat in it. They're really good at making these kind of out there crazy effects and really cool music that almost doesn't fit, because it's like really beautiful music, but over these weird imagery. But it has on here, the new approved, transfer, a new introduction, a commentary, making of, documentary, called Corpse, talking about the Necromantic 1 and 2 in this film. Definitely check this out, though, if you're interested in these movies. Like I said, it's definitely a shocking, out there movie that's definitely not going to be for everybody. The next one from Vinegar Syndrome's new line, I think it's called Equate Pictures. It's a brand new line from them. This is Some Call It Loving, which is another one, which is kind of a movie that they've kind of rescued from oblivion. I feel like hardly anybody knows about this movie. And it has Zalman Kane, who was, the star of Blue Sunshine, which is a great movie, which I'm cool if this company released that, which I love that movie. And he also directed, Wild Orchid and a bunch of different movies. He did a lot of erotic movies in like the 80s and 90s. But this one is Some Call It Loving, and this is basically about his character who goes to a carnival, and they have, in the freak show, this is basically a woman they call Sleeping Beauty, who has been sleeping for like 6 or 7 years, and he, goes there with all this money, and he wants to buy her, so he brings her back to his house, and she ends up waking up, and basically you kind of find out there's this potion that they are giving her to keep her sleeping, but he stops giving it to her, so she ends up waking up, and it's basically when she wakes up, kind of what happens with them. The movie is definitely a real downbeat, sad movie in some ways too, because no one seems very happy, and he has all this money, and there's all these weird sequences of things in his house with like dancing nuns and all these weird dancing things, and it's a very strange movie. Richard Pryor's in this movie. I think this is like one of his earliest movies, and it's kind of interesting to see him in this, because he was actually pretty cool in this movie. Like I said, this is very weird movie. It has on here, outtakes, but of course it doesn't have any audio since it's so old. They didn't have the track. But on here, a video featurette on the movie. But I would definitely check this out. This is just a really weird, different movie. Can't wait to see some of the new releases from this company, their line as well. The next one is one that I was really interested in seeing this. I saw this at Target. This is from, I think it's from C3 Entertainment, and this is The Three Stooges, Hey Mo, Hey Dad, and I didn't know what this was originally, if this was like an old clip kind of thing. This is actually a documentary narrated by, Mo Howard's son, And it's basically him kind of talking about the origin of the Three Stooges, from the beginning, from, when they were first starting, from, the troubled times when Curly had his stroke and then he was out of the Three Stooges. And there's interviews in here with, the family members and, there's Billy West and Whoopi Goldberg in this talking about it. And then it kind of talks about when Curly was out, and then Shemp came in, and about what happened to him, and then about when he died, how they used old footage of Shemp, and it talks about when they, how they were really, they never had were giving any royalties from when they started airing this show back on TV. It gets into everything, when they came back with, the TV series, with the cartoon and the live action movies. It gets into all the details in here. It has on here too some cool memorabilia pieces in here as well, like some pictures and things like that in here. A bunch of different stuff inside, like a booklet, the comics, Three Stooges, comic book in here, and then it's got a thing in here which is like a script, experts of a script, some postcards in here, some stamps, all kinds of different things in here. Let's see, it was in this one. This one had like a whole bunch of different random like letters and things like that from Mo Howard, checks, all kinds of different stuff, pictures. It really is a very cool set. Like I said, you can get this. I've seen it in Target, but also, of course, you can get it online as well. But if you're a Three Stooges fan, I had a lot of fun watching this. I've always been obsessed with Three Stooges, and ever since I was a little kid. The next one from Lionsgate is Little House on the Prairie, the complete sixth season. You know me, I always love this show. It's kind of a real 70s show, and they always do such a great job, cleaning this up. Great transfers on this one. Has on here part 6 of the Legacy, the documentary on the making of the series, talking all of the cast members and things like that. This one has on here, though, some really pretty good episodes, some memorable ones about the one when the school ends up getting burnt down, that sad episode, the 2-part one. The one on here when these criminals end up breaking into the house, when they're out there and what ends up happening to them. A whole bunch of different ones on here. It's one of those things, though, where if you kind of know the show, you know it, and you definitely would be picking this up. But I would definitely recommend checking this out, though, if you're a fan of it. And like I said, it's definitely worth the upgrade because it has really great picture quality. The next one from Artsploitation Films, and this is a remake of the Disappearance of Alice Creed, and this is Reckless, and I've never seen the original one, but I always have heard about it. But this was a great, to me, really great remake. Like I said, I haven't seen the original one, so maybe I wouldn't like it as much, but if I saw it, but I thought this was great. It's basically about these 2 criminals who end up kidnapping this girl and, tying her up and taking pictures of her and trying to basically ransom her to her father to get all this money from her, from the father for, basically returning her. And it's kind of them together, but you start to kind of find out things about them little by little, like, the one is actually the boyfriend of the girl. You find that out very early on, but then it's like all this kind of stuff between the 2 guys, and, they may be playing each other, and you don't know exactly what's going on. It was really, really well made, really, really cool piece. It's basically just the 3 people in the whole movie, but I would check this out for sure. This was very cool. The next one from Artsploitation Films as well is The Treatment, and this is a kind of a murder mystery kind of movie about, this guy who, in the beginning of the movie, he see his younger brother was basically killed, and they believe that it was this man that lives in the neighborhood, and the old guy is years later coming around taunting him, giving him all kinds of crap, and there ends up being he's a cop now, and there ends up being a other kid that ends up getting killed, and they kind of trying to investigate it, and he's trying to kind of look into things because the guy that they thought did at the beginning got away because they didn't have enough evidence, so he's kind of trying to go back, look into the facts and see if he did do it, and kind of trying to pinpoint who the killer was. So it's kind of like a whodunit thing of trying to figure it out. Very cool one. This is, like I said, this is the Blu-ray edition of this. Has on here deleted scenes, a premiere featurette of the movie. The next one from E1 is The Last Call. This has a whole bunch of cameos in this movie. Like Christopher Lloyd is in this movie, like extremely over the top, but like really fun. Tom Arnold is in the movie too, wearing this really weird wig. And this is Last Call, and it's basically Christopher Lloyd who owns this bar, and the bar is failing, and they're not, having no money. They're about to close down. He ends up getting arrested for one reason or another, and he's in the bar saying, "You've got to try and save the bar." And he tries to get the two guys to try and do anything they can, all kinds of schemes and like these party nights and all this kind of stuff to try and keep the bar going and figuring out what they're going to do. That's essentially what it is. But Richard Riley's in this movie. Dave Foley has a cameo in the movie. Clint Howard's like crazy over the top of this movie. Just a fun, really silly, weird movie. And the next one from E1 as well is The Orphanage. And it's basically about this kid who's recently an orphan and ends up going to this orphanage, which is the original title of the movie, I believe, was Millwood. And this, Tiffany Shepard's in this movie as well. And it's basically, she gets this orphanage, and there's something very weird about the place. And, the people there are very weird. The kids are all kind of skittish and weird. And he kind of starts seeing kind of weird visions at night and seeing all this kind of weird stuff and kind of medical procedures and seeing all this stuff. And, he's not really cooperating. They're kind of yelling at him, and that's sort of what it is. It's kind of weird stuff going on with him and getting into arguments with the other kids and not getting along and not playing by the rules of the school. And he's really depressed too that his parents have passed away and he's sort of stuck here because he has no other family and the place is so odd. It kind of reminds me like a Are You Afraid of the Dark episode or something like that. It wasn't bad though. Like I said, Tiffany Shepard is in this movie as well. But anyway though, guys, that's all for this DVD Blu-ray update. Thanks again for watching and subscribing, and I'll see you guys later.